Number 4, Jen's specialty.
Number 3.
Dang it. Hey y'all, welcome to Stivers Homestead. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jen.
And today we want to talk about how not to panic when something big is hitting the media, like the coronavirus. Okay, so we want to talk about our top 5 things that we do, which is just normal lifestyle for us, but we chose it for partially of this. Our top 5 things that you can start doing to where when a pandemic or epidemic seems like it's very close to coming, you can sit back and just kind of relax and not panic.
Yeah.
So let's start. They're all equally important. There's like not one,
Right.
It's not in order. It's just the top 5 things that you need to do to be able to do it. So what's number 1?
So you need to have a clean water source. That's the most important thing to me. Even though they're all equal, you have to have water to survive.
Yeah.
Now, if you stock up on water bottles, that's great. That's a good resource to have. A lot of people stock up on them and have them so that, you know, they've got like a few months to a year's supply of water. We don't, just because, well, one, we don't really like water bottles. We don't like the plastic. It doesn't go bad, but it's not the best for your system over time. When that water sits in the water bottles, it can heat up, and then the plastic leaches into the water and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but,
especially if it gets any kind of sunlight or light on
Yeah.
it heats the plastic up.
But if that's what you have, that's great. That's a great resource to stock up on. What we do is we have 2 water filtration systems. We did a video about both of them. We have the Berkey and we have the Alexa Pure. So that together is about 5 gallons, right? 5 gallons of water.
No. Yes, a little more. About, I would say closer to 6 because it's 5 or 3 point something
Yeah,
and 2
probably
point
6.
something.
So if we fill those up every day, we have 6 gallons of water for our family daily, which is more than enough.
Right.
Just one will do you with our size family.
Yeah, and it's good to know, like, you don't say that your faucet stopped working. Like, we have a pool and a pond.
Yes.
These water
And
filtration.
a little creek.
And a little creek, right. So these things actually can get all that nasty pool water and pond water out and to make it safe drinking water.
Yeah. So in circumstances like the water gets shut off, if you can find a source of water, these filtration systems will still allow you to have clean water.
Yep. So, number 1. Number 2, what if it happens in the winter and you're cold and the electric's off and you have no heat and you don't have kerosene for a kerosene heater or a propane tank has gone out because of propane
That's a
heater.
lot to stock up on.
That's a lot, and it's heavy and it's expensive. What you can use is a wood-burning stove. And so we have wood-burning heat, and that's our main source of heat, just because we like to live that off-grid style. However, if you're sitting in a house that is fully furnished with electrical heat and you're just good to go, you can maintain that, we still highly recommend getting you a wood-burning stove or have a functioning fireplace, one of the two. The reason for that is if you are unable to leave the house and the electric is out, in the middle of the winter, January, it's February right now, it's cold, you can still warm yourself and stay warm and not freeze.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to have some source of heat. I'm sure if you looked outside your house, you got trees everywhere. You might not want to cut them down just on a normal day, but if you had to, you could.
Yeah. And for us, our stove heats our whole house because our house is, what, 1,400 square foot.
Mm-hmm.
However, we don't have doors and stuff like that, so the heat is able to get through the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't able to heat your whole house, say you have a much bigger one, you've got different floors and basements and bedrooms and all that kind of stuff, you can still shut yourself off in that one area that stove is and confine yourself so that your family's able to stay warm.
Yeah, we actually did our first time living here because we didn't have it well insulated. We had to put the couch right beside the stove just to stay warm. There was no issues. It's just the house was not ready for us to completely live in. So yeah, number 2, some heat source, preferably wood burning stove or fireplace, and not electric or propane. Number 3.
So it's important to us to have a pantry that is stocked full of stuff. For us, that's mostly home canned goods is what it mostly looks like. We do have also a section of store-bought canned goods, just kind of that stuff that's harder to do, like paste and, you know, stuff along that lines.
And it's usually things that were on sale, like the 10 for 10s, then they're usually, 10 for 20 kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
But we garden, we save seed, we have seeds. So we're constantly pumping out food in the summer and most of the winter to where we preserve it and put it in our pantry, and we always have food on hand. When you home can goods, it stays good for a long time. The recommendation is a year, but we all know that it stays good for longer than that as long as you do everything right.
And if the stuff hit the fan, you're going to push it out of here.
Yeah. So canned beans, canned corn, canned green beans, canned potatoes, canned chicken, anything that you can, which is mostly everything. And the stuff that you don't feel comfortable canning at home, you can buy at the store, like tuna, ham, the paste. You need tomato juice on hand. You need all that stuff. Make sure
flour,
you always,
sugar.
Yes, flour, sugar in bulk, yeast, stuff like that you can make bread with. Always have that on hand. Rice. We try to keep up to date on that stuff. Now, we're not as good as we should be. We should have more rice and more flour and more sugar, but we're working on that.
Right.
But if something were to happen today, we would have quite a bit of food to last us. And we also have our freezer. So obviously, if the power goes out, that freezer's not going to do us much good. But I can tell you that we're going to have a heck of a cannon party if it does go out, because we have so much food in our freezer. And we have more canned in the pantry, but some of it we could just bring out and start canning super quick and get it put up so that it would last.
Yeah, and the one really important thing to kind of think about when you're doing the canning, or if you're trying to like set stuff back to be sustainable, because that's kind of our story, right? We want to be completely self-sustainable, and we're getting there. You need to think of things that a little goes a long way.
Yeah, beans, rice.
Right, exactly. Flour. So, you can use a little flour to make something bigger to feed a whole family. You don't have to use your whole jar. So think of stuff like that, to have all the necessities to make a bigger item, like soups and stuff and beans that are hearty.
Yeah.
So that's your pantry stuff. Like she said, we take it the next step. So you have I'm out for 2 weeks, I can't leave the house, sustainable. Then you have I can't leave the house for a year, sustainable. And that's where the gardening comes into play. Seeds. So we have about as good of a pantry stock as we do a seed stock, because seeds are important.
And they are. And what we have will allow us to have a garden for a very long time. Meanwhile, we'll be saving seeds from our current garden. So we'll always have seeds in stock. That'll never be an issue. But I do recommend getting you a good stock to start with.
Yes, exactly. And just a bunch of different stuff.
If you don't have the seeds, you can't plant the seeds.
That's exactly right. And it all started with the seed, right?
Right. And gardening, anybody can garden.
Yes.
You might think it's something hard, or you have a black thumb or whatever, but anybody can garden as long as you put your mind to it and pay it enough attention. You can do it. Right.
That's exactly right. And then also extending your growing season. So not just spring, summer. Learn how to grow throughout the entire winter, which we do with greenhouses, hoop houses over our raised beds, cold frames that we put a bunch of windows on a cattle panel on top of our raised beds, microgreens that you can grow inside.
Yep.
So you got one of that stuff to where you can keep having food pumping all year round. So greenhouse, garden, seeds, pantry stock.
Yeah.
Number 4, some form of consistent protein.
Yeah.
So when we say protein, you might immediately think some kind of meat. We're actually talking eggs. So if you have meat animals, and it's great, we do as well, and it stocks your freezer and you can can it. However, if say you don't have access to be able to continuously get more animals and you need to just live, chickens are your best thing, because eggs are packed with protein. You're going to get them every day for a long time, and the chicken's still living. And then you can actually even, rehatch those chickens.
You could either rehatch them yourself, or you can have a broody mom hen that hatches her own. You can constantly be bringing chickens in and out. And that's not something that you have to worry about going to get. You could swap with others, but sustainable wise, you could constantly have a chicken flock.
Yep. And you can always eat an egg. You might get burned out of an egg, something awful, but it provides your body the protein.
And you need eggs. You're going to need eggs for baking, for breads, for all kinds of stuff. Eggs are a must.
Right. I mean, there's a reason when there's a winter storm, people go get milk, bread, and eggs, right? Because you can make so much with that. So, chicken. And last but absolutely not least, this is just I don't want to say the word difficult, but you have to be a little bit more set up and prepared for it. A source of dairy.
Yeah.
Milk. And so we have dairy goats.
Yeah.
To us, maybe eventually.
Some people would disagree with you and say that dairy is not a priority. However, we think it is.
Right. These are our top 5. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be yours. I would say the top 4 most everyone would agree on, and then our 5th one's kind of up in there.
It depends on your lifestyle. If you're a person that doesn't consume dairy, it wouldn't be important to you.
Or if
However,
you're lactose intolerant.
Yes. However, most of us do consume dairy.
Yeah.
Even if you don't drink milk, you're using dairy in everything that you bake. You just don't realize it.
It works just like the eggs.
Yeah.
You need the eggs for the flour. You need the dairy for the flour to make the bigger thing. So we choose dairy goats.
We do.
We've recently got them, but it was a missing piece that we were striving to make sure that we have, and now we have them. So to us, with all 5 of those, like, we could live. Like, we could have our family come to this house. We're going to stay warm. We're all going to have clean drinking water. We're going to have eggs every single day.
Yep.
We're going to have milk every single day. And then conservatively, we're eating our canned goods, getting the bigger stuff. So kind of once a day, you're getting a little bit more. And then we're constantly growing, and the compound is set.
Yep.
I would say, and I'm going to throw a 6th one as an add-on, just because this video is specific for, say, you're just stuck in your house. But the little bit of prepper in us, because I don't want it to sound like we're like doomsday kind of things. This is just normal day stuff that we're talking about that could come across. But a side note 6 would be a gun.
Yeah.
Of some form. We are gun believers. We have guns in the house, but we are all locked, safe, and secured. And you need to make sure that you have proper training before ever bringing a gun into a house, especially if you have children. So just kind of an asterisk there. But I would say some kind of protection of some form or fashion is needed, because if you have everything that everyone wants and needs, you could have some trespassing and some issues, and just having protection is safer.
Yeah. Also, I feel like the most important overall thing to be confident in is your faith.
Yeah.
As people of faith, it's not really something that we necessarily worry about. We are prepared for it just so our kids don't go hungry. We feel like that's our responsibility to prepare it for them. But our faith helps us not be afraid, to not panic. We know where we're going. We know where our kids are going. And we know that we'll be blessed and taken care of no matter what until the time comes. And if it's the time, then it's the time. And it's not something to be afraid of.
She is so right. Like, don't fear getting sick or something happening. Like, those things are out of your hands.
Yeah.
Just live in faith and know that you're safe. But what you can do is, like she mentioned, not starve.
Yeah.
Those are things that are within your power and within your control to solve. But everything else, just let it flow off and let yourself be free, and know that you can sit at your home by your fire while the world's going crazy and eating beans and rice and eggs.
Yep.
With a glass of milk. So with all of this being said, this video was not specific for coronavirus.
No.
We are not saying go run to Sam's Club and Costco and load up with everything.
Everybody's getting coronavirus.
Right.
That's not what we're saying.
No, not at all. It's just, it sparked the conversation on, okay, I feel fear right now. What can I start doing today?
Right.
So when the next
Instead
thing.
of sitting there panicking and being afraid, here's what you can do. Start working towards that goal.
Right. And it took us 5 years to fully get to this part. So there was times when we were like a little nervous, what are we going to do? But we just went and bought water bottles.
Yeah.
Or we stocked up on food. So those things that you can do. But do the top 5 things that we just mentioned. Pick one. Do it today.
Right. Pick one, get good at it, and then move on to the next thing.
That's
you don't have to rush and like, oh man, I need all these 5 things like right in this moment.
Right.
You have time. It's fine. Just as when you can, focus on one thing, then focus on the next, and before you know it, your house and pantry will be full.
Exactly. And if you're like, I don't have room for a pantry or this and that, yes you do, because I guarantee you got a closet somewhere that you could just take the
throw
clothes
everything away
and make a pantry.
Stock it up.
Ours was supposed to be our second bathroom.
It was.
And now it's a pantry because this to us is more important. We're a small little family. One's fine. But pick one, like she said, and move forward. We started with house and wood burning stove, chickens, garden, water, and then
pantry and dairy goats.
Yeah, so all that stuff mixed in, but we did it in steps.
Yeah.
So we don't want to downplay the coronavirus. It does seem like there is some seriousness that's definitely going on in the world. That is not to be downplayed whatsoever. If you or anyone in your family has been impacted by that, know that we're praying and everyone is praying for you. I'm feeling confident that it will eventually, yes, the sun's going to set and the sun's going to rise every single day, and there's no reason to stress yourself to death over something that probably and hopefully will not ever get to our homes.
Yeah.
So that's it for today. keep your heads up high. Don't fear. Don't panic. Just start making steps in the right direction. So
That's
when
right.
the next time
That's all we ever can do.
that's all we ever can do. So the next time a near pandemic or epidemic or an ice storm comes across, we're ready.
Or you
We can
lose your
feel safe.
job. You know, your husband loses his job, and
Yeah.
you have to figure out how to feed yourselves.
Yeah. And
It relates to anything. It's just best to be prepared.
that's exactly right. No, we might not have everything and we might get bored of a couple stuff, but
Mhm.
we're going to eat and we're going to drink and we're going to be happy
That's right.
and merry. All right. Well, I hope this video helped you out. I hope you enjoyed some of the clips that we've thrown out to see kind of our setups. But if you have any questions, and comment down below some of your things that maybe we didn't mention that are necessities.
Right, necessities that you feel for pantry or a different top 5.
Right.
If we didn't say it, tell us, because we're always learning too.
Right.
So I'm looking on things to stock up for now that we have our stock. I want new things, and let us know.
Yeah, cool. All right, y'all. Well, we'll see you in the comments, and thank you for watching today.
All right, we love y'all.
Until the next one.
Bye.
Bye.